Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Could you please tell us your name and where you're from?
My name is Angel Ramos. I go by Hasan. I'm actually originally from Los Angeles. I live in actually North Hollywood right now. But I come to this masjid every Sunday to teach the Arabic course to them, the introductory, how to read and write, to help people learn how to read the Quran, the language of the Quran, and through which Allah spoke to us. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. And can you tell us, like, where you went to the different schools?
Okay.
You grew up in Los Angeles?
I grew up in Los Angeles, actually South Central Los Angeles, and I went through to elementary there. I went to high school there at a local high school close to here. It's called Crenshaw High School. I went to college in Northern California, which is where my whole conversion story begins. I went to UC Davis, which is just 15 miles west of Sacramento. After college, I went for a short time to graduate school, study at Claremont Graduate University. I was studying to get my master's in Islamic studies, but I had to stop because my grandmother actually got ill. So I had to quit my studies there, but inshallah khair, I plan on going back soon.
Mm-hmm. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So then, can you tell us about your conversion to Islam and how you became Muslim?
Inshallah.
And how did you study, or did you meet other Muslims? Tell us how you found out about Islam.
Actually, when I first started pursuing Islam, I was going through a phase, I think, in my life where I was soul searching, having a lot of regret about my younger years. I was 19 then, and prior to going to college, and in college, my first year, I have college experience, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I was regretting that because I felt that I wasn't living up to the expectations, I guess, of my family, of myself, and I kind of wanted to originally reconnect with my Catholic roots. My mother is Christian, but my father is Catholic. He's from El Salvador, well-known Catholic country, but I wanted to kind of rediscover that, and I actually started to pick up books in the library about religion, about Jesus, about Catholic traditions, things to kind of motivate me to put me back in the fold of Christianity. But I remember I was studying actually with some people at a table in the library one day at UC Davis, and I was just commenting to them about I studied biochemistry in undergraduate, so we were all studying biochemistry, and I was commenting to them about I wanted to become more spiritually connected, to kind of find myself a little bit better in that way. And one of my classmates happened to be a Muslim girl. She's from Pakistan, and she was listening to what I was saying, and I was telling her that I'm really scared, because I'm not really practicing my religion and this and that. And she started telling me about her religion, about Islam. And at this time, she was wearing the head cover, but she kind of wore it in a way that kind of would fall off a lot, and she would pick it back up, and it'll fall off a lot, and she would pick it back up. And so then I asked her, why do you wear that, and then she was like, oh, well, I do it for God, for modesty and this and that. And as she was explaining it to me, it was just I was completely ignorant to Islamic practice. And, in my belief before, I kind of thought, well, God can see you without the clothes. Why do you need to do that? That's how my mindset was. And so, he doesn't see the clothes. He sees right through to your soul, And she was explaining to me, about that, well, we got into a long conversation, basically, about the hijab. And then I asked her, I said, oh, why? You guys don't believe in Jesus? Aren't you scared to go to hell? I asked her that. She was like, well, no, we believe in Jesus, but we believe in him as a prophet. And so I was like, oh, like a prophet. And that didn't really click to me at first because how I understood prophecy, from the Catholic Christian tradition is way different than how when you say prophet in Islam. There's a whole other reverence for a prophet, a whole different understanding of what a prophet is. And so I thought by calling him a prophet it was kind of relegating his position, like a prophet, okay, that's lower. And so I was like, well, I don't know. And so then I started looking at books about Jesus in Islam. They started having me pamphlets about Jesus in Islam. And she gave me a brief little, it was not a complete Quran, but it was a small kind of like verses from different chapters. And I found myself constantly reading over the things that I saw in the Quran that was similar to the Bible, that helped me reinforce, like, I guess, kind of like my faith there. But it ended up pulling me in to Islam, actually. Like, because some of the questions that I had actually were answered in different verses in the Quran as it pertained to Jesus. And that direct spiritual connection that you're expected to have with God, that responsibility that you have to God that's based on your intentions and your good deeds, appealed to me a lot. And I guess my desire to have a little bit more order in my life kind of drew me to it as well, because I saw the discipline that was required in different aspects, especially when it comes to praying, when it comes to fasting. At that time, by the time I actually had converted, which was like within, I think, about 5 months or something, Ramadan was going to be coming up the following month. I converted September 11th, 2002, which had nothing to do with the events for the year prior. It was solely a function of me being present at an open house that they were having for people who had questions about Islam in lieu of the September 11th events. And I felt so ready and so grateful to Allah for having opened my eyes. I was just ready at that point. So I took my Shahada in Sacramento on September 11th, 2002.
At a masjid?
At a masjid. It's called B Street Masjid is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just ready at that point. From the things that I had read, it opened my eyes to questions that I had about Jesus. And as I started to read more and more about the prophet, the worry that he had, concern that he had for everybody on earth, the way he wanted them to avoid the severity of the punishment that could happen, and the way he wanted to bring everybody into to the love that Allah has to offer, like, just really, like, got me, Even talking about it, I'm getting a little bit emotional. Because he was, like, just so kind and so compassionate, and he had love for this woman,
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us now what jobs you've had and where you work and where you've worked in the past?
I've worked since college. I've had a couple of different jobs. Prior to me going to graduate school, I actually ended up working as a spiritual care clinical pastoral education coordinator at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. So I was there and dealing a lot with people of faith. And my boss, having had gone to Claremont as well, she noticed, like, my spiritual inclinations. She said, like, you really have a knack for and an ambition and passion for Islam. So, they have, like, a Islamic studies program there. I know the advisor, maybe I can connect you to him. And I end up working or going to school at Claremont and studying Islamic studies. I didn't complete, though. I had some family issues where my grandmother got sick, and after that, I kind of wanted to pursue some leadership things, so I actually ended up working as an executive team leader at Target after that, so I can have a little bit of experience in leadership. And so that's where I am now, and alhamdulillah, it's by the grace of Allah, I think, that all things happen.
Okay, good. After you became a Muslim, what was the reaction of your friends, family?
My friends were pretty accepting of it. Some of them, especially the older ones that I went to high school with and stuff, all would make jokes like, "Oh, you're all religious now. You're all religious now." You know, I think that's the general response of people who, you know, before they hang out with a certain crowd of people and they're very nonchalant about it, so they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever." But then when they come up to realization about themselves and they want better for themselves, you know, there's always that joking or whatever. But it was in general well received. My family though, is a different story.